Hey, CEO, it is Dr. Sakira again. You know, you were built for more than burnout. And if you are at the edge of quitting, just breathe and let's talk. Like I said, I'm Dr. Sakira, and today we are remixing one of Marie Forleo's most vital truths that clarity doesn't always come before the call. Sometimes it's birthed through the chaos. This is for every leader, every CEO who's standing on the edge wondering whether to push forward or pack it all up. And you aren't sure whether this is the time to just let it go. Let me tell you something. There is a purpose in the pause, and there is power in the pivot. So, you know what I want you to do? I want you to take this first little point here. Burnout is not failure, it is feedback. Let's say that louder for the people up in the back. Burnout is not failure, it is feedback. When your body is at its breaking point, your spirit is overwhelmed, and your joy is gone, that's not weakness. That's wisdom going. It's wisdom knocking, okay? That's wisdom telling you there's something that you need to pay attention to. See, your business was never meant to cost you your mental health, your marriage, nor your mission. So you need to take a pause. Maybe not forever, but just long enough to ask yourself a question. What is this exhaustion trying to tell me? See, I had this client, y'all, and he had a company that was making about 4.5, 4.6 in annual revenue. He had 10, almost 10 people, and I say almost 10 because he had one part-time person. And he had a great, big, beautiful warehouse. It was full of product, and the funny thing was, he wanted to walk away. He was like, this is it, I'm tired, I'm done, I'm out. But when we sat down, and we listed everything that was draining his energy, it turned out that he really didn't want to quit. What it was is he wanted to quit the burnout, the bad boundaries, the busy work, the things that were just sucking him dry. And so once we were able to put, my four favorite things, y'all, right? That system, that strategy, that structure, and that soul into the business, guess what? Things change. Once we were able to systematize what worked and cut out what didn't, he fell back in love with his business. He fell back in love with his mission. So here's the second point you got to take with you. Your purpose may be correct, but your process needs some recalibration. See, there's a difference between quitting your purpose and pivoting your approach. If you step back and you look at the whole foundation, are you delivering or over delivering? Because, see, what happens is we have heard that old adage, under promise and over deliver. But see, that is something that is related to the promise to your clients. What you need to do is set some boundaries of what you're going to do. And if you don't have boundaries, it's very easy to be over delivering outside of those boundaries because you don't have, what's that word? Number 2 in my little system, structure. When you have structure, it gives you the freedom to over deliver when you want to. That's why you need structure. That's why you need boundaries. And so sometimes you feel like you're failing because you don't have the boundaries that define what you can and cannot do. So you may just be fatigued from doing too much. I know that sounds crazy, but you're doing too much because you don't have the boundaries. And so you keep over delivering, thinking that's going to keep your clients coming back Whereas if you set up a structure and you told them clearly what it is you're going to do and you deliver on the promise, then you won't be doing too much and you won't feel fatigued. And especially if you're doing it alone, get yourself a team, get yourself a system that's repeatable so you can hand that off, you can delegate that stuff, and then you won't feel so overwhelmed. Now, I want to bring the word in because you know I do that. Galatians 6:9 says, let us not grow weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap what we sow if we faint not. But hear me, even in the harvest season, there's a Sabbath. Rest is not rebellion. So even in your delivery, remember you got to build in some rest in your structure. You got to build in some refresh in your systems. You got to build in some relax in the whole of the strategy so that you and your soul can breathe. That's what I'm talking about. So, here's what you need to do. This is point number 3. You are going to redefine the win. Redefine the win. What does success look like? If success has become a moving target, guess what? You're never going to hit it. You got to redefine what it means to win in this season because success changes. How you define it changes. But what you measure shouldn't until you find out if the measurements are giving you the data that you need to redefine success. Maybe your win isn't launching something new. Maybe it's stabilizing what you already got. Maybe it isn't scaling to the next level. Maybe it's just sustaining. And you know what? That's when you're not fainting. And that's holy. And that's enough. When I think about it from the garden perspective, forgive me, my next door neighbor, he decided he's going to have his landscaper come right in the middle of my delivery, but we got to keep on going, right? Here's what I want you to think about. As a gardener, you don't go out there and pull up a tree because it isn't fruiting today. You water it, you prune it, you protect it, you might put a fence around it, you might put some stakes next to it. Why? Because it might be in the dormancy state. It's developing underground. I always think of it like Myron Golden says, you got to grow those gravitropic roots growing down before you grow those phototropic roots that are the tree that you see that is above the ground. So when you are dealing with your business, you have to keep your vision in the space that makes it clear that at what point you should be having fruit. Everything is not fruitful all the time. There are times when there is a dormancy, and it's during that time that you get to recalibrate, you get to relax, you get to reset, you get to redefine so that you can come back when it comes into light. So if you've been thinking about quitting, I challenge you to do something. Take 3 days of rest before you decide. Take 3 days of rest. What you're going to do in those 3 days is you're going to journal. You're going to revisit your why. You're going to ask yourself, is this mission that's off or is it the method? Let me say that again. Is it my mission or my method? Because sometimes the way you're trying to get to what you're assigned to do is the problem, not where you're going. And you know what? Just so you know, you are allowed to pivot. You are allowed to simplify. You are allowed to rest. So just because you're the CEO does not mean that you should be there 24/7. That is not what that says. When you build system, structure, strategy, soul in your business, you should have a method by which you can lead and the business still runs without you. Because you're not allowed to burn out. It steals your legacy. It steals what you started. So don't let yourself burn out. Don't let yourself get your legacy stolen. Make a conscious decision to take 3 days and just journal why you started what you started. Tag somebody who you think might need to hear this message and share it with your team. Subscribe. Make sure that you hit the like button if you see it there, because next time we're going to be talking about how you train your mind to obey your mission. You've got this. I see you and I'm with you. I'll see you in the next video.